guys, welcome back to the Glory Living channel. My name's Hannah and today we are making homemade ice packs. Alright guys, let's go check it out. Well guys, this is not a normal spot for us. This is the first time we've ever had a video over here because we're going to be using the sewing machine today. And we're going to be making these homemade ice packs. I really like these ice packs because one, I think it's fun to make things from scratch and have these sort of things around. But also, I think these are better than just putting straight up ice onto some type of wound, or ice in a bag, or ice in a towel, or whatever. These are kind of like a no-mess way of doing that. You don't have to rely on having ice cubes or your ice maker working or whatever in case you get hurt or you have a headache or whatever. These are really good, and so I'm going to show you how to make these today. They're really simple. They're really affordable to make. You can make these out of scraps and something that you would just have in your kitchen that everybody has pretty much in their kitchen. And so I want to show you how to make these and explain to you how these are made and what these are made of. Well, first off, what the heck do I mean by a homemade ice pack anyways? This is just fabric sewn into a pouch and it has rice inside of it, and I keep them in the freezer and they can be warmed up. Explain how to do that, what material you're going to want to use if you want to warm them up in a microwave or keep them warm. But they're great to keep in your freezer. You can make them any size you want. This is a pretty medium-sized one. This is a very small one I have for our toddler, and I'm going to be making some larger ones today. And I'm going to show you how to make these, and they're just made out of, all you need is fabric and rice and, you know, some thread to keep it together. It's really, really simple, but what's great about them is it's not super harsh like ice can be. You don't have to worry about the wetness of ice, and they can either be cold or warm, and you just keep them in your freezer and they're ready in case you get injured, in case there's a slip by a child and they fall or bump their head. Just on hand and easy to get out, and you don't have to mess with ice and you don't have to mess with anything like that. You can just use one of these. Okay, I've kind of just laid out some of the fabrics that I have used and I'm going to use. So today I am going to use this upholstery fabric. This is a thicker fabric. Like I said, this was extra from recovering a rocking chair that I have. That is what I'm going to use today, and that's a little bit thicker. A little bit thinner than that, but still thicker, is flannel. I have some excess flannel I made this one out of, and so I like that because it's a little bit soft of a material, and so I think that'll just feel nice for my kids if they, you know, bump their head or whatever. And it's not, you know, not that these are rough or anything, but this is very soft. That's just the way flannel is, and it's a little bit heavier than just the plain cotton. So I have just plain cotton here. You can see these are strips that I have that are excess from quilts that I made, and it's hard to see them, but they're really, really pretty fabrics. But anyways, this one is just a tiny, tiny one for tiny hands. This is, you know, for our youngest, for any boo-boos that she may get or whatever, and something that's just kind of small, fit in her hand and help her just feel better usually if she has a little bonk. So here's the thing, using this 100% cotton is very thin, right? Like this total cotton fabric here is totally thin. And so if I'm going to use plain cotton, the thing about this is lined on the inside. I pretty much made 2 of them. So what I did with this one, I'll explain a little bit more, but with these 2, I'm not putting a liner on the inside. I am not going to, I did not line this one, and I don't plan on lining any other flannel ones, and I'm not going to line this one. If I regret that later, I don't know. I don't think I will. Here's why you want to double line that, because even though you cannot really see well through the tiny, tiny holes that are in all fabric, rice can find a way through and poke through, and you just want to make sure that you don't have that happening. You don't want rice poking out or leaking out or anything like that. So this, it has a lining on the inside. It's the same fabric, and I just made 2 sizes, and I'll explain that, but I didn't do that with these ones. And so if you're going to do thinner fabric, the way you would do that is just, you would create whatever shape, whether it's a rectangle or a square. Let's say you were making a 4x4 square. You would maybe make your inside square 3.5 by 3.5, and then you would do your larger square 4x4. That's going to make it a little bit smaller than 4x4 because of your seam on the inside of it, but that's the point, is that you would do like a 3.5-inch square and then a 4-inch square on the outside so it can go around it. So inside here is a square with rice in it, and then I just made another one on the outside, if that makes sense. But today we're keeping it simple. This is what I'm making. I'm just going to show you how to make these. I think they're really good to have around, and they're really simple to make. Also, today we will be filling these with rice. So the reason I'm choosing rice is, one, I had it in my kitchen, so that's easy and I don't have to buy anything. But people fill them with barley, they fill them with cherry pits, they fill them with rice, they fill them with corn. I really think in my mind that rice is a great option because of its shelf life. I'm going to keep these in the freezer, but they're going to last a lot longer. The thing thing is, after many, many years of warming it, you might get like a scent of like dried rice or whatever, but you know, it's just probably gonna last longer than anything else. Maybe cherry pits would last a while and these may not give off a scent, but I don't have cherry pits and you have to buy those, and I've never bought those for anything, so I don't even know how you do that. But either way, I just use rice because that's something that's on hand, and I like projects that are simple, easy, and I can do really quick. So when you live in a smaller house, you have to utilize all your resources. So this desk has started seeds. This desk can be just a desk for work, and this desk has also been a sewing desk. And right now it's a sewing corner, so that's what we're using it for today. But here we go. So I'm just gonna lay out my fabric. I've got my cutting mat here, and I'm gonna pick out what size I want this to be. I want this to be a little bit larger for more adult size. So for my husband, who's obviously much larger than our 2-year-old. So I wanna get this cut for something that could go around like a knee or a leg or whatever and be a little bit bigger. Okay, so I've got my first rectangle done, and I'm just gonna do a second one, and then we're gonna sew them together. Okay, so while I was cutting my fabric, I realized the issue with showing you on that fabric might be that it really doesn't seem to have, I could be wrong, but upholstery fabric does not seem to have as much of a right side of the fabric. So I'm gonna explain that to you really quick. So if you're using other fabric, this might seem obvious to those who have sewn for a long time, but if you're new to sewing, this is important. So if you want your seams to be mostly hidden with this project, then you're gonna wanna sew with the right sides touching each other. So let me explain that to you. Here's this green fabric, okay? You have these green polka dots, okay? This is the fabric, this is the pattern, right? This is called the right side of the fabric, but there's a back side here, and that is where the pattern does not exist. So if you want to hide your seams, you always put 2 pieces together with the right sides touching. Okay, and so when you'll seam the edges and you'll turn it inside out and your seams will be hidden. So I'll show you that as we're going. You'll get that. That's just for in case you're not much of a sewer and that's not something you do often. I just want you to understand that. You won't be able to see it as much on upholstery, so I may do another one so you get the idea a little bit clearer. Okay, so as I was explaining, we have the right side of our fabric, and what we're going to do is connect our rectangles with both right sides touching each other, okay? We wanna line up our edges. This is just one piece that I'm folding in half. That's an easy way of doing this as well. So if you just doubled your piece and folded it, double your size of the piece and fold it in half, you could do that as well. Okay, this is flannel, so I'm not going to double line it. I have a special foot that's called a 1/4 inch foot, so it has a guide here to help me stay where I want to be, which is a 1/4 inch away. That helps my seam keep and everything nice and tight. So what you don't want is to sew so close to the edge that your stitching goes off the edge or that it comes off easily. A 1/4 inch gives you that safety gap so that your stitching won't come undone. So I am going to put my 1/4 inch foot on there. It's not necessary, but just try and stay on the guide and try and stay a 1/4 inch in. I am also on my stitching going to keep my stitching pretty close. It's normally set at a 2.5, but I'm going to set it at a 1.5. That'll make my stitching tighter, so that way it has less chance of rice popping out. Make sure there are no gaps in your stitching. Make sure that you make everything really tight, so you know when you start and when you end, go forward and in reverse so your stitches don't come undone. So yeah, here we go. We're going to do that and we're going to get started. It's very simple. All right, we're going to do that again. But as we go down this last edge, what I want to do is actually keep this corner not sewn. And the reason we're going to do that is because we have to put our rice in. So, and we have to get this from being inside out to right side out. So leave an inch, inch and a half. You could do a little more, a little less, depending on what you find easy. I like a little bit smaller gap. It doesn't matter. You could leave this whole end open right now and just do it inside out and have the whole end go straight down. It's really all your preference. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do, and you just do it however you'd like. So I'm going to pull mine off. I'm going to snip my strings, and then I'm going to pull this inside out. So here we go, we've got our rectangle here, and we are going to go fill it with rice. I'm just going to show you what we do next. So we've got our rectangle, and we are going to fill it with rice. This is when a funnel comes in handy if you have a really slim funnel. If you do not, grab yourself a piece of construction paper, and all you need to do is roll it up. You probably did this as a kid, and you could make a little funnel, and you can release it in your hands to make the hole a little bit bigger. But this is what I used because it just, I don't actually have a funnel that makes it thin, but if you let go of it like that, there you go. It releases it and it'll give you a little homemade funnel. So we're gonna fill it with rice. I have like a ginormous rice bag from Assure Standard, so it's just the rice I had on hand. So you're probably actually wondering like how much rice to put in there. This is gonna take about 3 cups for this little rectangle. This is probably like maybe 4 by 8. It's just whatever you like. I don't like it super tight, packed full of rice, but you don't want it too loose where there's not much rice. You kind of want it to be able to move around, so if you set it on your knee, it'll kind of shape around your knee a little bit, but also still keep it cold, because the rice is really what's cold and giving you that cold effect on whatever's sore. This is pretty full, so I'm gonna actually dump some of that out. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I like them to be a little bit loose, like I said, so it'll kind of go around, you know, maybe a little bit more. You just adjust it exactly the way you want, what you think is your preference. And hey, make one, use it, and see what you think. And if you decide, hey, I think I need a little more, then in your next one, add a little more. Okay, this has got enough rice. We're gonna go back to the sewing machine. Okay, so the next part is that you have this raw end of the fabric here, and you do not want that. You want it to be clean and tucked in. So you're gonna tuck it in and kind of make it flush with the rest of your end. And when you do that, you know, tuck in any of those loose ends, and we are going to stitch them. So this is where it comes to preference of look. Like, you could just stitch all the way across if you wanted, but mine's already halfway across. I am just going to stitch halfway. That might not look as good to some people. I just don't mind it, so that's how I'm going to do it. If you like the way it looks stitched with a little bit of that nice end, you could go all the way around the whole outside of it and just have that look, if that's what you want. It's really about preference, but at the end of the day, practicality, that this is going to be a good ice pack. They are cute, but this isn't like decoration. So I'm going to stitch halfway through because that's just what I want to do, but you could stitch all the way down, all the way around, whatever. It's up to you, but practicality is kind of what I'm just aiming for here. Okay, so important note, you have to make sure that you get all the way down from where you stitch, because you do not want holes where your rice can pop out. In fact, I have a tiny hole in the end, so I'm going to go back over the edge here to make sure no rice is going to escape, especially if these start getting tossed, which can definitely happen in anybody's house, not just for kids tossing. So you can see the finished product of our cold packs here. These are going to be great, different shapes, different sizes. Put them in the freezer, they'll get nice and cold, and they'll be ready for in case somebody bumps their head or has a sore knee, shoulder, whatever it is, headache, and these will be great. So I don't need to worry about ice, I don't need to worry about getting it not too cold, but not cold enough through a towel and the wetness of the ice, and these are just perfect, and so I'm really happy with how they turned out. It's super simple. You're just sewing a rectangle together, you know, and you're filling it with rice. It doesn't get much easier than that. You know, like I said, you can kind of see the top here. Mine is stitched halfway across, but you know, you just don't notice it when you're using it, so it really doesn't matter. You can see it a little bit, and it's just all about your preference. Like I said, you could just stitch it all the way across. You could stitch all the whole edge, almost kind of frame it with your stitching. It's whatever your preference is. Whether you live alone, whether you have kids, grandkids, spouses, whatever, anybody can use one of these. You know, if you get hurt, if you have a headache, like I'm saying, these are great to have around. And like I said earlier, I really like them because they're less harsh of a cold on you. If you are going to use these for a warm pack, one thing that is important is to have 100% cotton in whatever you are using. The reason why that is so important is because you do not want anything to melt in the microwave. So cotton just protects you from anything like that. Polyester is something to avoid. So use cotton thread as well, so nothing is melting or getting messed up in the microwave. Something that's important. Your thread will say it on the end, so just check it and it'll tell you what it's made out of. So yeah, guys, super simple project. This video is longer than it'll take you to make. It's like you could do this in less than 20 minutes. I mean it. So have fun with this. This is a great project, especially for a rainy day like we have here in Tennessee. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Please give it a like. Please share it with your friends and your family. And as always, please subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support us in what we're doing and creating this content for you. Until next time, guys. We'll see you soon.